Good morning. Happy Sunday morning, Ultimate Coach family. Getting a late start here. Well, not really a late start. The old daylight savings time. So anybody, I guess in Arizona, no change. But everywhere else, we had that spring forward phenomenon. So anyway, Townsend Wardlaw here, coachofbeing.com, founder of Tracksuit Thursdays. Are you ready for next Tracksuit Thursday coming up in April? I'm ready. I already got my outfit picked out. Oh boy, I got a fun little conversation this morning. Bet people will be sleeping, so just be a couple of us hopefully here chatting it up. So I want to chat about value and worth in the context of commitment. And as always, this conversation is anchored in this notion of being. Being creates all of our doing. Being creates even the thoughts in our head. We can get a sense of our being by watching the thoughts, paying attention, and seeing what we do. And rather than struggling and striving and wrestling with all the doing, when you work at the level of being, change can actually occur very quickly, very effortlessly. And this is an example of that. So, the context here is I'm a coach. I get paid to coach people. One of my fundamental principles is I don't coach without permission. I don't ever just start coaching somebody and speaking what I think without having a conversation about that. And I don't coach outside of an agreement to coach. A lot of people will say things like, yeah, I'm a coach. I just, I do it for free. I would say that's not coaching. At least my definition. That's advice giving. Why is that, Townsend? Why isn't that coaching? Well, outside of an exchange of value, whatever you share with somebody, well, it has just as much value as they're, quote unquote, paying for it. Hey, Anita, good morning. So this can be a little touchy subject, right? Because a lot of people think of free coaching as what you got to do to kind of earn your stripes or to, develop your experience. I would say that's not so. And by the way, this applies to coaching, this applies to consulting. Hey, value, what a concept, right? Actually, Anita, thanks. You gave me some direction here. You might not know it. So, I create a distinction between worth and value. Worth is what I have in here. Value is something out here that is ascribed to it, like money. It's purely a made-up distinction. It's my distinction. You could look up the words in the dictionary and they'll have their own opinion about it. But when I talk about worth, it's what I have in here, my worth. What is my worth? Value is what somebody else would ascribe to that. Now, a lot of people think, well, if somebody gives me $100 in value, well, that creates my worth. That simply ain't so. It actually works the other way around. When I have worth equivalent to $100, that money flows to me. Somebody will share it with me. Somebody will gladly give it. You see, value flows to worth, kind of like a rock rolls downhill. You can, of course, push a rock uphill, right? You can go around trying to create your worth by seeking value. You can push a rock uphill, but it's a lot harder and it always rolls back down if you stop pushing it. The other way around, which is I create worth in here, I know my worth, I have a sense of my worth, and all of a sudden money shows up. Last year, 2021, I raised my rates, my prices, what it costs to work with me. Up until January 1st, it was $60,000 a year paid in full to work with me. As of January 1st, it's $100,000. Why would I do that? Well, contrary to popular belief, it's not like I need more money, right? I know my worth. Yes, Anita, and when you know your worth, value shows up all over the place, however you want it. Where was I? Got the coffee going today, so I'm good. So there's this idea that I am worth more. My worth increased, right? I knew that what I was providing was worth more than I had been charging before, and I wanted people to show up with greater value, right? For me, for what they were getting, and thus what they would receive. So, worth, value as a concept. Now let's relate this to something Steve loves talking about, commitment, right? Not only is coaching outside of an agreement problematic because there's no exchange of value, fundamentally, what is missing is the key ingredient for transformation, which is commitment. You see, when I show up in a coaching conversation, and again, I say coaching, this applies if you're consulting. I was a consultant for 20 years. Same dynamic, right? Same kind of physics here of how it operates. As a consultant, I knew my worth by what I could produce in tangible value, right? I had no problems charging what I charged. When I shifted over to coaching, interestingly enough, I went back down rate-wise, right? What I used to charge it for consulting was bonkers to most people. And then when I started coaching, it was like, oh, well, I'll charge $250 an hour. Well, I had this idea, well, that's all people will pay. Well, that's all I thought I was worth. Anyway, so I digress. So worth and value, keep that as a little concept here. Commitment is what's required to create transformation or miracles, right? I show up committed to something, I can create it, right? Whatever I want to create in the world, I get committed to it, whether it's money or a parking spot. That's a story for another day. I create parking spots. Right? I don't drive around looking for parking. I get committed to one, they show up, but topic for another day. If I'm going to work with another human being, I need them committed as well. And you'll hear Steve talk about this a lot in his language, how he commits people. Right? You watch the TBOLIT NFL video. Right? It's all about getting Deuce committed to showing up, to being on time, all the stuff he talks about. When somebody shows up and they say, oh, I got this issue, I got this problem, right? Parking spots are fun, aren't they, Nita? Also, you have a busy restaurant with like a 45-minute wait. Not necessary. You can get committed to, we'll be seated right away. Again, that's a story for another day. So somebody shows up and says, I really want some help. We say, oh, goody, I got a chance to do some coaching. I love coaching. What do you need? And we just start jumping into it. Start helping them. Absent commitment, no miracle's going to happen, right? It's basically devolves into advice giving. I learned what I'm sharing with you here from Steve, from working with Steve, so I'm sharing it with you. But somebody comes to me and says, I'd like your advice on something. Now, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. They could say, I'd love your advice on what I should do with this business deal, or what I should do in my marriage, or where I should have dinner tonight. I know the worth of the words that come out of my mouth. What I want to make sure is that the person on the other end is going to be committed to the extent that I'm committed to providing value. And again, this is if I'm helping with a marriage or a dinner reservation. So somebody might say, hey, what do you think I should do about this? And we might talk about it for a little bit. And I'd say, I'll be honest, I know what you need to do here. I got something for you. And they say, oh, goody, tell me what it is. I'll be like, well, let's slow down a minute. See, I don't like being in the advice business, right? Where I tell you something, you go, oh, that's good. Let me go ask 5 more people, right? You ever notice that? People who are asking about things are always shopping around, see if they get a better answer, right? I like when I share something with somebody, they're going to go do it. Not because, I get a sense of control, but because it would serve them, right? When I work with my clients, when I say, here's what I think, or here's what I'm being told to tell you, they go take action on it. Hey, Julie, Good morning. Because we're in a relationship. We're in an agreement to coach, and there's an exchange of value, right? The value of what I'm sharing with them is being reciprocated in money, and I know they're committed, right? The level of their investment really dictates the level of commitment. Now, some people get really sideways about this. Well, it's not all about the money. No, it ain't about the money. But we do live in a world where money is the symbol, token, representation of our commitment, right? Somebody's got to pay for something. Well, they're likely to do it. Even restaurants these days. I love it when they're like, hey, credit card. If you want to book a reservation. Yeah, people show up when they have a credit card. And then the people whining about, I don't want to leave my credit card. Well, they're not serious about going to the restaurant. Okay, I'm all over the place. Lots of coffee. So, somebody's going to say, hey, what do you think I should do? Well, if we're not in a coaching relationship, I got to make sure there's commitment there, that there's an exchange of value, or they're just going to think it's, some guy in the street they're asking directions from, right? This thing they're talking to has spent a lot of years thinking about a lot of stuff, doing a lot of work, spent a lot of money to develop itself to serve. I want to make sure that that lands properly. And there's lots of ways to do that. Money's one way. There's other ways to get commitment. So one way that I do that is if I'm going to share something with somebody, like information or knowledge, I get them committed to taking action on it before I tell them what it is. Oh, that's interesting. So let's make a simple example. Somebody would say to me, hey, I'd love a restaurant recommendation. Now, I like to help people find a great restaurant. So I would say, listen, well, let's talk about it, but know that I do things differently. I'm not just going to give you a recommendation and maybe you think about it. I love eating out. I'm kind of a, gourmet, whatever you call it. So if you want to ask me, I will tell you after asking enough questions, but the ground rules are wherever I say you should go eat there, you book a reservation tonight. Not like you think about it. Otherwise, we don't need to talk about it. You can go on Google, Yelp, whatever you want to do. You go ahead and figure it out. Grok that for a second. If I'm going to tell you where you should go eat, I want your commitment that you're going to go eat there before I tell you where it is. Now I'll ask you what kind of food you like, what don't you like, right? I'll be very interested and curious in your situation. I'll take this seriously. And I will provide the best recommendation for where you should eat based on what you told me. But I'm not going to do that if somebody's going to, oh, that's cool, neat, and then they go Google it anyway. Why'd you waste my time? Why'd you waste our time? And that's a restaurant recommendation. Think about other things in life, right? Somebody called me the other day. I had a call with somebody the other day that reached out to me in the Facebook group. They said, I'd love to have a conversation. I said, love to have a conversation. By the way, anybody wants to chat, I love having conversations. But know that I'm always about getting people committed. So maybe listen to this and know what you're up for. So somebody reached out to me, and we're just chatting. I know what I'm here to do. I know what my purpose is from who I'm being and my purpose on this planet. I serve those that serve by committing them to commit. That's kind of my principle here. And we were chatting for a little bit, and what became clear is this person, let's make it simple, wanted to begin coaching, like for real, like wanted to be a coach. They thought about it for a while. They talked about it. They dabbled with it. They weren't sure they liked the term, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, during the course of the conversation, I got them committed to, they're going to go out and start coaching. Very simple. Nothing in it for me there. Based on a conversation, based on what they were saying they wanted and what they cared about, it was obvious as the nose on my face. We still had some time left, so I said, well, now that you know what you're going to go and do, can I tell you something else that I see? Right? When I'm talking to somebody and I'm getting curious and I'm doing my thing, I see what I see. I see about them or what they should do, or I get an idea in my head. Anyway, I said, I'd like to share with you what I see for you. Now that you've committed to this thing called coaching, you want to go coach, something else just popped in my head that would be like a recommendation for you. Something you could go do that in alignment with what you say you want to create, what you're now committed to, this would serve you. This would propel you. She goes, oh, I'd love to hear that. I said, wonderful. Now, before I do, let me tell you how this works. I'm not just going to give you like an idea and then you go think about it or Google it or talk to 5 friends about it. Like, I'm going to tell you something that, at least for me, comes, let's just call it from above my pay grade, above both of our pay grades. It's not something I'm going to tell you that would be illegal or immoral. It's not something that, would put you in jeopardy. It's something that would serve you. It's a recommendation for you coming only from my commitment to serving and what you're now committed to. It will cost you time. It will cost you money. I want you to know that. And I want you to know that I'm not going to tell you what it is unless you're committed to taking action on it. She's like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I would need to say yes without even knowing what it is. I said, exactly. And I do that because all creation occurs in the context of commitment. Really powerful stuff happens in commitment. When we kind of give somebody an idea and they go wander around with it, my personal view, we're disserving them because we're slowing things down. Right? And know that I took a lot of time creating the invitation with this person. I said, listen, I want you to be very, very clear. You reached out to me. You said my content has been inspiring to you. You said, the words that I share resonate. You wanted to talk. I want you to know that I'm in no way trying to manipulate you to do anything. There's nothing self-serving about this. There's a story you could create here that I'm doing this, for a reason like that's selfish. I just want to assure you that's not the case. So with all that said, are you committed? And she thought about it. She said, yeah. I said, great. What you're going to do is you're going to get a message from me in a little bit. I'm going to introduce you to my wife, Louisa Milano. She's running a group coaching program in April. And what she is doing and the women that are in this container, it's the best possible thing you could do at this moment with what you said you wanted to do. And that was the truth. That's not like a sales pitch for my wife's program. That's like, I know this is what you need to get what you want as fast as you can get it, right? And it's easy. People could make up a story. Oh, he's pimping for his wife there. No, she got plenty of people interested. This spoke to me as the thing to do. And I was more committed to serving her than whatever she would think about. Oh, he's trying to pitch his wife's program, or what you guys think about it, right? I'm so committed to somebody. I'm going to commit them to something regardless of what opinion they're going to have about me. I said, I want to be clear. You're going to call her up. You're not going to hey, tell me about this. You're going to call her up and say, hey, what date do I put in my calendar and how much do I send a check to where? I said, trust me, you play this game of commitment like you're already committed. Whatever money you need will appear. You'll find it. It's not a lot of money, but even if it was, you would create it. That's how powerful commitment is. Anyway, cool story. She went and reached out to my wife. She's going to be doing the program. And it's going to change her life from who she is being and the level of commitment she's showing up with, right? We always think it's about the program, like what's the curriculum and what are the dates and who are the people in it. No, it's about how much commitment you bring to it, how much commitment you bring from who you're being that is going to create the magic. I'm always looking for it outside of us. Hey, good morning, Eric. Thank you, Julie. That's really sweet of you. And Yedidia? Yedidia. I hope I said that right. Yeah. So, value, worth inside, value outside. This idea of we must get others committed if we want to create transformation with them. And that commitment most often manifests itself in the way of money, right? Now, I'll tell you a story about doing this well, but I want you to hear this very clearly. I screw it up a lot. And screwed up's a harsh word. I see all the places in my life where I allow people to squirrel out of getting committed. I let them weasel out of things because I want to help them. I want to serve them. I don't want them to think I'm being greedy or stingy. I do it too, right? I'm sharing with you stories of where I powerfully commit people and enroll people, but there's lots of places that I don't. And all I do is look for the places where I don't, and I clean those up to the best of my ability. So just make sure that's clear. I'm not sitting, I'm on some mountain in a robe burning incense. I just got coffee in my cup and, getting it perfect. And by the way, Steve Artisan doesn't get it perfect either. He'll be the first to tell you that. He does a damn good job. What I've seen him do masterfully again and again is ensure that even when he is, quote, giving something away, i.e., no money changing hands, he powerfully enrolls whoever he's talking to in the value of what he's giving them as a gift. Right? Like, as an example, this isn't like I'm not like telling a story about something, this happened and this person, whatever, but as an example, if he was going to invite somebody into his office for a conversation that didn't pay for it, right? That wasn't writing him a check, he wouldn't do that. Except to the extent that he created powerfully the value of what that experience was, how much it was, and then like he would have to gift it to him. Right? Like a Be With session these days with Steve is $10,000. If he was going to invite somebody to his office for a couple hours, he would take $10,000 from them. He might have gifted them the $10,000 10 seconds before that. But they would know they were getting a $10,000 gift. I have a conversation tomorrow or Tuesday with somebody, I can't remember. A gentleman that showed up in my world who I know I can powerfully serve. I also have the idea we can probably work together, but I'm not attached to that. I'm not trying to get there. This isn't like a teaser session to try and enroll him as a client. I'm literally just, we're going to meet tomorrow. Excuse me. And I wanted to serve him powerfully. Before I invited him to this thing, I said, I want to get together. Here's what I want to do. I want to meet for 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. I very carefully and methodically created with him the value of what I was doing. I said, listen, I want to be very clear. I don't sell 2 hours of my time. I don't do hourly stuff. The only way people work with me is to write a check for a year in advance, $100,000. So I want you to know the conversation that we're going to be having, this was a couple weeks ago, in a couple weeks, you could not have with me without me, without writing me a $100,000 check. You're getting the same conversation somebody who wrote that check would get. You're not like getting like some, light version of Townsend. You're getting all of it, all 100K worth. So know that. Know that this is the most important time on your calendar. Like, I don't want to hear I had a meeting run over or, something came up. Like, the only way you're going to put this on the calendar, if you tell me right now, this is going to be the most important thing in your world, nothing will move it short of like, somebody's in danger. And then I gave him 2 or 3 assignments he had to complete. You got to go read this and watch this. Right? I gave him work to do. I committed him powerfully to what he would need to do to show up ready for that conversation, and committed him to the value of the conversation if he was writing me a check. Like, I'm gifting you something that, frankly, you can't buy. But here's what it would be worth if you were buying it. That's different than, let's have a deep and powerful conversation. It'll be really great for you. Which I used to do not that long ago, right? I just would like have a conversation with somebody and hope they'd be so impressed with how cool and awesome I am and how insightful I am and good looking I am, right? To then want to work with me. Duh, it doesn't work that way. If they don't show up committed, no magic's going to happen, right? This guy's coming tomorrow knowing and hopefully telling his wife and friends, you're not going to believe what happened. This guy's talking to me. He didn't talk to somebody for less than $100,000. Right? I want him coming knowing that. So he's got the right level of commitment that we can work some miracles and magic together. And once again, I look for all the places where I don't do this so well. I talk real tough on here on the Facebook Lives and telling you how awesome I am. But I can tell you dozens of examples from the last thank you, Anita, from the last couple weeks where I didn't dot all the I's and cross all the T's. And that's okay. We're always learning. So, the punchline here really is, I know there's a lot of folks in this community that are coaches or consultants or want to be. Look for all the places you're giving it away, thinking it's helping somebody, like it's making it easy on them. And it's not. It's not, because people don't see value in that which they don't invest their time or their money in. Right? If you're scheduling calls with people and they're not showing up or they're late or something else came up, that's telling you you're not creating the value for them, and that maybe you got to work on the worth side of things a little bit, right? When I'm talking to this guy about we're going to meet together, I know that the conversation we're going to have tomorrow, that conversation will be worth $100,000 to him. That's how powerful it will be. Why is that? How could you be so certain? Because that's how I created it, right? I'm going in there tomorrow to basically give him, share with him, help him see something that will be worth at least $100,000. I'm gonna sit when I sit down. I say, hey, remember what we're playing for here. This guy over here normally doesn't do this unless $100,000 checks in my account. Just know that's what's happening in the next 2 hours. Something's gonna happen. We're gonna holy shit. That's worth 100 grand. Isn't that interesting? Well, I didn't even tell the story that I was gonna tell today. I'll have to save that for later. But this was fun. Hope you all have an amazing Sunday. It's sunny and chilly and beautiful here in Florida. Hope it's wonderful where you are. Loving each and every one of you. Have an amazing day.